And now, an 8th special presentation.
In the season premiere of Art Beat Nation, a creative artist turns scrap metal into art.
You make it up as you go, and it's your choice. Nobody's telling you what to do.
A photographer soars to capture beauty.
I engage the autopilot. I open the window and then start looking harder at what I want to take pictures of.
A museum takes visitors on a journey to enlightenment with ancient artwork.
Wrathful deities have a terrifying expression, and they emanate flames.
And a city turns to public art to enhance downtown appeal.
Public art is critical for any healthy downtown. I mean, not only is it beautiful, but it gives people a reason to come downtown.
It's all ahead on this edition of Art Beat Nation. Funding for Art Beat Nation is made possible by contributions to 8 from viewers like you. Thank you. For Wisconsin artist Gary Kanjiora, sculptures are inspired by what is found in scrap heaps and junkyards. Combined with his work in the welding industry, Kanjiora is creating works of art built to last. Let's take a look.
What I do is make sculptures out of steel. I got started doing sculptures about 20 years ago. I was welding a trailer I was making, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna try and sell this at the flea market, because I was taking household items to the flea market to sell for money. And I thought, okay, I'll sell the trailer. And while I was working on a trailer, I thought, oh, what else could I weld and sell? And I had some scrap pipe in my garage, which gave me the idea I could make a dinosaur. I made a little T-Rex dinosaur and sold it for $7 at 7 Mile Fair. I get my ideas for the sculptures from the parts themselves. And usually, I do sculptures on request, but most of the time I just, look at something that I collected, and it gives me an idea, and I take it off the shelf and turn it into a sculpture. I like a lot of small parts, so all kinds of stuff like this. The process that I use for making the sculptures is MIG welding. I use a wire welder, what's called a wire welder. Uses an inert gas, CO2 and argon. I have a large pipe, heavy-duty pipe that's stands vertically, and I have a vise mounted on it, and that's sort of my easel. I put everything in that vise, and I'll use a saw and cut it, or a cutting torch. I use an oxyacetylene cutting torch. I use a TIG welder. I like to use a TIG welder, especially on the small parts you have to, and I'll use the TIG welder to smooth off the edges when I cut them with the saw or the cutting torch. I'll blend things in with the TIG welder, make them nice and smooth and look natural. So they're just one weld bead after another. A lot of people don't know what outsider art is or self-taught art. Their biggest question, how long did it take you to make that? Because they're looking at me, Joe the factory welder, what's his time really worth? And I heard some artist, someone asked him, how long did it take you to make that? And he gave his age, his present age. And he said, it took me that long to make it. And that's kind of how I feel too. They don't know what happens behind the scenes, ordering parts off of eBay that somebody's selling, going to flea markets or to a junkyard to buy scrap. So have to explain to them what outsider art is, and that since I didn't go to school to become an artist, and I was never trained, that I was an outsider artist. You make it up as you go, and it's your choice. Nobody's telling you what to do, and even if someone wants you to make a certain thing like a bird, it's still your thought, your idea, your bird. Even though they buy it, it'll still be your bird. Some of the sculptures that I've built have to do with making a point, making a personal point, making protest. I had a couple statements to make of my own. A nearby business had a piece of machinery on the roof that broke, and it was very loud, and they weren't fixing it. So I made a sculpture called Agony Man, because I was in agony. I couldn't sleep. The thing was making so much noise, and it was driving me crazy. I was a nervous wreck. So I made a human-sized figure. You can look at his face and tell that he's in agony. Another piece I made was, or is called Stank Booty. Stank Booty resulted from the air pollution from a nearby foundry, and he's a human-sized figure that's pinching his nose and pointing in the direction of the foundry. I made a large dinosaur that broke down into 3 pieces, a number of different dinosaurs, cranes, herons, flowers, bugs, fish made out of tin snips, a little guy, a skeleton, and a little 3-wheeled metal version of a Hot Wheel for little kids. I'm a real sci-fi nut, so I made a number of spaceships, aliens, robots. I like making sculptures that are real detailed, that have a lot of parts. I have another sculpture that has speakers in it, and I used a desktop PC surround sound system with its own subwoofer that provides amplification for surround sound speakers. And I broke this plastic speaker cases apart, unsoldered everything, and then mounted the speakers inside spheres and insulated them, put gaskets in it and everything, and so it worked out pretty good. It's called Handbox Speaker.
Homeowners didn't seem deterred by rising mortgage rates. If anything, some buyers may be racing to lock in rates before they get any higher.
I make a lot of different subjects because the scrap gives me the idea, and I just go from there. It's a discovery when I make something and I stand back and look at it, and I get a lot of praise from people. The pats on the back that people will give me in compliments, it must take the place of financial gain. I like it when the sculpture's done. What I do, I make it up as I go along, and there's no blueprint, there's no plan, and most times there's no drawing. I only got a couple sculptures that I made out of mostly pipe that I could make a drawing for, and then I'm just thinking constantly while I'm welding or cutting or bending, heating, what parts am I going to use next for the next part of the sculpture. And so when it's all done and I look at it, I'm satisfied.
To see more of Cangiora's work, visit his website at intuitivesculpture.com. In this segment, aerial photographer Evan Anderman takes to the skies, capturing the western landscape from above. Join us as we learn how Anderman's Denver, Colorado roots and geology background influence his work.
Cleared for takeoff on 17 left and eastbound departure approved. 88 X-ray.
Cessna 4 Foxtrot Romeo, monitor tower, good day.
I think I really love flying because of my background in geology and looking at the environment around us.
I'm looking for interesting patterns and relationships between things, a relationship between different patterns or lines. So I have a general idea of what I want to come out and shoot, but I also just look around for something new to see every time, just because it's different. Each day is different, the lighting conditions are different. I'm looking for the one element that's going to make an interesting picture, and I know generally what I'll find out here and how it fits into my sort of overarching theme right now.
I had a technical background, I was pursuing that, and it just wasn't fulfilling me. And so After I graduated from college, I came back and worked for a consulting firm, and that wasn't really floating my boat. So I actually went to halftime and started taking a photography class.
The current series I'm doing, you saw the farmland one, and then the energy's on there too. I can give you a tour of feedlots around Fort Morgan, and that's going to be the third show in the series. I'm just trying to show people what it looks like.
When I look at this picture, I see the brownness of the soil, but then the blackness that's on top of it, that just doesn't look natural to me, which is why I'm drawn to taking pictures of feedlots.
What do you hope that the average eye sees?
That there are a bunch of cows that get to live in a very constrained environment, but then I hope I bring a more aesthetic representation here. So it's an interesting picture to look at just because of the geometry and the composition. If I see something that's interesting, then I engage the autopilot, I open the window and then start looking harder at what I want to take pictures of. It's a unique viewpoint. It's not one that a lot of people get to see.
Really, it's a subtle beauty out here, and I'm glad that I've been able to find a way to portray it artistically and beautifully.
The airplane can go fast, but it can also go slow, and I like, especially when I slow it down and open the window up and lean my elbow out like I'm driving along a dirt road and looking down and seeing the farmer's truck going up the road, being curious about what's in the truck or what he might be doing, where he's headed, the sort of daily life that's happening down there.
See that train over there also? That's interesting.
Every time you fly, there's different light or the conditions are slightly different, you're flying in a slightly different place. And it's just fascinating to me to try and sort of catalog that.
We call it pumpkins in the kind of strip. I like to fly around also because the light changes, as you can see, as you go around in the circle.
And then the challenge of what is that essential element that I need to have in my viewfinder to get the right picture. It's a little harder in an airplane because when you're on the ground, you can move a little to the left and a little to the right till you get just the right composition. In an airplane, you have to move a little faster, or you have to just circle around and try again. I've been flying in Colorado, but also, lately I've been going out to Wyoming and Idaho and Kansas and New Mexico just to see what's out there. It's just more exploration. I have had the opportunity to travel throughout the world, and I've been to both polar circles and taken pictures there, and it's great to see all that stuff, but somehow I keep being drawn back to Colorado, and especially out to eastern Colorado.
A lot of times people think Colorado and immediately they want to photograph the Rocky Mountains or something outside that is very apparent in its subject matter. How and why did you come to the decision to make aerial photography your medium, but also this particular portion of Colorado?
The mountains are beautiful and I love going up there, but I just feel like that's where everybody goes to take pictures, and there are many iconic pictures of the mountains of Colorado. And they're beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I've always been drawn to eastern Colorado, the solitude out there, the barrenness. Also, I'm a slight introvert, so I like to get away from people. I grew up hunting and fishing out on the plains, and it always seemed to have a sort of subtle beauty to me. And I wanted to bring that same aesthetic from the nice landscape photos of the mountains to the eastern plains and show them as beautiful part of our environment too, and make people here in the city aware of that. If you drew like a Venn diagram of all the things that I do in my life, technical and aesthetic and creative, and mechanical, I think aerial photography really brings everything together.
So there's a drilling rig, there's another pad that it's going to move to, and another one and another one. It's hard to find any place out here that hasn't been influenced in some way by man.
The only constant on the Earth is that things change. It's a big complex system that we don't fully understand, and the question is how much effect that we're having on it.
7 left, 8 at X-ray.
For more information, visit evananderman.com. Up next, let's visit the Rubin Museum of Art in New York City, where a current installation highlights Himalayan deities who guide and protect believers on the path to enlightenment. Here's a look.
I'm Christian Luzernitz. I'm senior curator at the Rubin Museum of Art. I curated the exhibition Masterworks, Jewels of the Collection, which showcases mostly paintings and sculptures of the collection in the Rubin Museum from the 8th up to the 20th century, and shows them in their international relationship from India across the Himalayas into the East Asia, China and Mongolia. The exhibition changes once per year, and each rotation has a different theme. The present rotation now has the theme of wrathful and protective deities. In the Indian and Himalayan context, one differentiates between deities according to their appearance and their symbolism that is associated with them. Peaceful deities in general are pleasing. They wear a beautiful ornamented dress. Wrathful deities have a terrifying expression, and they emanate flames. Since most of the works that we show are from Tibet, Tibetan Buddhism is most strongly represented. This is a form of esoteric Buddhism or tantric Buddhism that developed late in India and then became adopted in Tibet. One of the kind of signature elements of Tibetan Buddhism is the emphasis on the teacher and on the teaching transmission. And in the mandala of Amoghabhasha, we see the teaching transmission represented at the top of the painting. The most important teachings of Tantric Buddhism are transmitted orally and have not been written down. The mandala really derives from the concept of purified ritual space. So in the outer region, you have a fire circle and a Vajra circle that purify the space on one hand, but also protect it from evil influences. And once it's ritually purified and offerings are given, you can invite the deity to abide in that space temporarily, for example, for a consecration of a stupa or a temple, or for the initiation of a pupil, which is a very important part of the esoteric Buddhist transmission. Teacher portraits are one very frequent topic within Tibetan Buddhist art. Since the veneration of the teacher is even considered higher than the veneration of the deity, because without the teacher you would not be able to practice a certain deity. The ivory sculpture of Lachok Sengye represents the 9th abbot of Ngor Monastery, which is in south-central Tibet. He holds a large flaming jewel which represents the Buddhist teaching that he transmits. And the right hand performs a gesture of fearlessness. In the Tibetan sculptural tradition, it's extremely rare to have an ivory sculpture. That material, of course, had to be imported and is very precious. At the entrance of the gallery, we have a marvelous sculpture of one of the 4 great kings. These are guardian deities of the 4 directions. They are represented on the outside of temples to ward off evil influences. This one is called Virupaksha, his name meaning evil eye. And in fact, the stone inlays of his eyes make it appear almost alive. The sculpture presumably comes from one of those regions where Tibetan culture meets Chinese culture. It's approximately 17th or 18th century. It's an extremely rare object in Western museums because it's made of clay. The 4 great kings weren't really made for transport. They are heavy and they are very fragile. And it's a miracle in this case that the sculpture not only preserves the 2 attributes held in the hand, victory banner and the stupa, but also the scarf that floats behind his head. We have only discussed a few objects of this exhibition, Masterworks Jewels of the Collection. There is much more to explore about the interrelationships of the different countries that are represented in this exhibition, and I hope you have the chance to visit the exhibition and see it yourself.
For more information, visit rmanyc.org. And finally, we meet local artists on a mission to bring more art to Orlando, Florida. Ranging from a flock of birds to an abstract tree, new artistic landmarks have been added to the city to revive its downtown.
About 2.5 years ago, the mayor and I were talking about what's next for the city, and one of the things we both recognized that was missing was outdoor sculpture. So he said, if you'll help me put together a sculpture program, I'll help you raise the private dollars that we need to achieve it. We went out and we raised $1.5 million in private money and got 8 sponsors, did an international call to artists, had 187 responses from 36 states and 16 countries.
It changed downtown a whole lot. It changed downtown a whole lot. Like I said, it's too long. It's too long to be coming, you know? Should have had this a long time ago.
Public art is critical for any healthy downtown. I mean, not only is it beautiful, but it gives people a reason to come downtown. It creates conversation, it creates economic development because people will come downtown, do the walking tour, which is about 2 miles. We have art for everybody. All 8 sculptures are completely different. People look at it, you see them have a smile on their face. It's just really interesting, and I think that all the sculptures are beautiful, and someone will find something that they will like downtown in Orlando.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I think the people of Orlando should love it too, you know? It give Orlando a little something different.
Take Flight is across the lake, and the sculptor's name is Dal Bloomberg, and it's one of the ones that we've probably received the most compliments on. And his concept, when he came to Orlando, he looked at the lake and he thought, what would fit this location? And what he developed was to represent that your spirit should soar, to be happy. Well, you know, we want Orlando to be the premier world-class city, and we're accomplishing that step by step, and so that's why we're here.
For more arts and culture, visit azpbs.org/artbeat, where you'll find feature videos and information on the Arizona art scene. Funding for Artbeat Nation is made possible by contributions to 8 from viewers like you. Thank you.